Good morning and welcome back to Home Renovation Experts. Not in the garden room today, no, I'm still on the decorating job from yesterday, just tying up a few bits and pieces. I'm going to show you exactly like a bit of a rough ceiling downstairs and like how to like scrape back the loose stuff and how to make that good stain, block it all up again. A bit like yesterday, but there's something else a bit more to it as well. But last night, before I left, if you watched yesterday's video, I'm basically making good skirting today. So I'm going to be using 2-pack filler to bridge the gap between these, because once it's in there and filled, I can then just chamfer it, make it good, so it like binds into the other skirting. So what I did with this one yesterday is completely loose, and this wasn't fixed at all. So what I did before I left is taped it up, so it wasn't going to move anywhere, sprayed expanding foam behind it to fill in the gap, because there's also no wall there in that corner. So now that is as tough as old boots. And the reason I taped it was that so that as the expanding foam actually grew, it then didn't push the skirting like miles off the wall. So that is that. Now fully secured and done and dusted. And now I can just fill all this, make it all good, and then do my return joint there as well. So that's pretty good. That's a good top tip, days. Just give it plenty of time to go off so it's actually bonded and actually holding it. That's a great way to stick bits and pieces together as well. Not a lot of people know that. But Michael came through there. Wait. Not a lot of people know that. You are only supposed to blow the bloody doors off. I know, I'm a man of many talents. So now I've done that, I'll run around 2-pack filler it, do the joints. I'll show you how I go about that as well in a moment. Oh, I do love the smell of 2-pack filler. It fills up the room very nicely. Right, here you go. So there's the first fill. So you can see it's just rough, just kind of roughly getting the shape. I'm just going to bind it at the angle to kind of tie into this one, because this one sticks out a bit further. Just get it roughly there. I mean, it is literally rough. It's just kind of getting the filler in there at this point. Once it's then gone off, I then use my electric sander to kind of get that angle a bit neater, start to create my top angles coming across, and then double fill it where I need to, because obviously you still need to build up the layers to make sure they're kind of running flush and smooth. There's no like convex, concave bits in it. This one, I'm going to chop a tiny bit of skirting to go there because it's a nice straight cut. So I've got a bit downstairs. I will go and do that now. And the same applies for over this way. So where I've got the one that's filled in with expanding foam, because it's a nice straight cut, I'm just going to cut a bit to go straight in there. But obviously over here, I've again just put the first fill in of the 2-pack, and there's like a notch out here, so I'm just like 2-packing that as well. So while that's going off and I'm getting high, I should go get some wood, measure it, chop it, make it, put it, stick it. That could be like a B&Q sort of sample, couldn't it? Like a little like logo thing. Oh, I should maybe copyright that. Right, so that square edge skirting upstairs, which has got the nice little chamfer on it, the one that's just got a square edge on it. How do I make that? So basically I just picked up a bit of this stuff, which is 22mm thick by 100, just standard 2.4 meter length. Take your planer. Now if you just see in the center, you see that little bit that dicks in here? I've set it to 2mm off, and then you can see, I just run it down once, and that's given me that beautiful angle, straight off the bat. One and done. So literally just put it on the right angle. I'll put it here so you can see. So literally, you can see, that's where the notch sits. And I just run it down once, X file, because that's gonna be more than enough for my 2 bits. And that's given me that. So that's a good start. So I'll take that upstairs. I'll chop that little bit off. I don't want to carry the whole 2.4 meters, so I'll just chop it there. Carry it upstairs and then chop it into smaller pieces. Right, so I've given it a second coat of 2-pack filler. A nice sand, so now you can see, chamfers into it beautifully, just takes the edge, that bit of wood there is now chamfered down, so that just runs smoothly into that piece and across the top. Absolutely beautiful. So it's a nice little neat connection between those 2 blocks, which you'd never get with just doing it with pure wood. So over this side, I see the patches now in, looking very nice. So I've just like put some adhesive between it to like bind it all in. So I still use deck cork. I use a bit like Sticks Like SHIT from Wix, really good stuff. Over here, so you can see that bit is all now made good and ready. And the same over here, that was a nice simple one. That's just like 2 bits of 2-pack and done. And over here, exactly the same. So when I paint that, unless you look for it, you'll never see it. Absolutely mwah, beautiful. Right, so I'm gonna have lunch now. That gives it a chance to all dry and set. And I should get some paint out. Oh yeah. Right, so that's the upstairs first coated for the skirtings. So I'll give that a second one once it's had a chance to dry. But here is the kitchen ceiling. So what I've got is a fresh bit of boxing to paint up, so I'll put some filler in obviously the screw holes across the joints. Apart from that, this part of the ceiling's in pretty good nick. Come over here, there's obviously been some sort of repair, might have been a leak or something, so that's all been filled and fine surfaced by somebody else, so I'll give it a light rub and then just see where we're at, and then maybe give it another fill as well, just on the joints, just make it look good. Apart from that, the rest of it's not too shabby. But over here, you can see there has been another leak. So it's all dry now. You can see that's all a bit loose, a bit flaky, a bit nappy. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to grab a filler knife, and all I'm going to do is, not yet, but I'm going to scrape across the surface just to remove the loose debris. Well, I'll do that into a dustpan, so a bit of mess. I'll then give it a light sand, just to make sure we get rid of any loose materials up there at all. And then I will stain block it, like I did upstairs, to make sure that stain is sealed in and it can't go anywhere. What it'll also do is it'll make sure that the area is nice and like, it's not like porous, because obviously when you take that surface off, all that area is going to be totally porous and a bit naff. So once I put the stain block on, that seals it all up beautifully. So it's not just about like sealing it and get rid of the stain, it'll make it a much better paintable surface as well. And you can see, look, there's a few bits and pieces here there that need doing. This is the curved one I can't figure out. Can you see that? There's a nail sticking out coming in this direction. I don't know why it's coming in this direction. I don't know, but what I do know is it ain't gonna win. So I'll use that, I'll chop that out and get that filled up as well. And obviously the same across here, look, it's just a bit, oh, there's another nail over there, look. Interesting. Right, either way, they're getting chopped out, that's all getting filled up and made good. And then yeah, start painting it. But first, prep work, fill, scrape, stain seal, perfect. Right, so I've scraped it all back and filled it. So what I did was, I got up, because it has a deep hole, and I had like a massive tub of the L2 pack, I just knocked up a ton of that, chucked that in a hole, so that'd be gone off completely in like 5 minutes, which would be a lot quicker than trying to use my other pre-knocked up filler or my 60-minute stuff and then trying to dry it with a hairdryer, blower basically. That thing, I'll call it a hairdryer. You know what I mean. Anyway, that's that filled, so I'll get that up down in a minute. There's a big hole here as well, and obviously this is the whole stained area, so that's now going to get held back, so that's going to make it look a bit neater. Once it starts to go off, I'll give it a nice light rub, and then get it stain blocked, and then get it fine surface filled on top of that. So I haven't touched that yet. I'm getting around to it, all right? Yeah, give me a minute. And while I had the 2-pack out, I just quickly run around and filled these for the first fill of that as well. So that just means that my fine surface filler will just go on top, and it'll dry really quickly on top of that as well. So, and in case you were wondering, for today's selection, I'm using this Polyfiller 1 fill. Bloody lovely gear. It's really, really nice. Pre-knocked up, ready to go. And it actually does quite deep holes, but you just need to give it a bit more time to go off. But for fine surface stuff now that I've got, minutes, and then it goes hairdryer, done, just to finish off that drying process on this one. Perfect, painting it in minutes I will. But before I do that, I will just quickly go and give this a light rub, because I fancy it. So, there you go. Where's that plaster mark gone? I don't know. It's amazing, isn't it? There you go, boxing all painted in, looking rather lush. So the whole lot has had another coat. And just over here is where the stain was. So there you can just see where the stain block is. Obviously the paint's not drying as fast. It will dry, it's perfect, there's no problem with it, but it just, because it can't be pulled into the plaster and paint before, it sits on the top and just dries a bit slower, but looking absolutely lovely. All right, I'm gonna quickly whip upstairs and show you the finished skirting. And I'm upstairs. Right, there you go. So that's all like filled up with expanded foam over. Now all done, finished, ready for the new carpet. Same there, moulded in beautifully. So I mean, this stuff as well doesn't have to be perfect because they're going to get freestanding units, but I just like to kind of chamfer it in and kind of make it as neat as possible. Finished down there, 2 coats, looking lovely. And here's the big one earlier. It's a bit darker there. There you go. Done. So that is me actually done on this job now, so that's me off. I will be back tomorrow when I'm fitting doors and windows in the 5x3 garden room. So if you're interested in the garden room and seeing that getting finished, tune in tomorrow. Whatever you're up to, I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the bell icon. And I shall see you all tomorrow. See you laters.